Hello, welcome to Old Testament Survey Online. I am your professor for this course, Dr. David Melvin. I'm the chair of Biblical Studies at Northland College. Many of you have maybe had me for another class, even online. Um, this course is actually my specialty. I love teaching Old Testament Survey. That's what my area of focus is. And so I'm very excited about this course. This video is just sort of an introduction to what we're going to be doing in this course to kind of talk about how it works. First thing I want to call your attention to is the syllabus. You'll find that at the very top in Moodle, a link to the syllabus, and that's going to be very important for you to read through. It contains all of the guidelines for when things are due. What what the grading scale is, those sorts of things. So please do read through that. I'm not going to go through all of it now. Mainly what I want to call your attention to now is sort of the day-to-day. So this course is set up in 8 modules, and each of those corresponds to a week. So the course is designed to be completed in 8 weeks. You are free to work ahead on most things. There are a few things I would prefer that you not do that with, but you could go ahead and work ahead, but there are deadlines. So you can work ahead, but you need to keep up at least with the week to week. So each module corresponds to a week. And what you'll find in each of these weeks is a collection of learning materials. This includes lecture videos and PowerPoints. And the way I would recommend that you use those is use them together, because I will the PowerPoints are PowerPoints that I would use in a classroom lecture, and what I'll do in the videos is essentially that lecture. Maybe a little shorter. I think most of them will probably be more like 30 minutes or so, rather than 50 minutes that you would get in a class. But what I'll essentially do in those videos is walk through the PowerPoints. So I would recommend that if you have a way to have the PowerPoint in front of you, either open it up in another window, or if you need to print it out, you can have the slides printed out. It'll make a lot more sense if you have them in front of you, mostly for interpreting the PowerPoints. If you try to do the PowerPoints without the lecture videos, they may not make much sense because they're just outlines, they're just bullet points. You really need the explanation of the materials on them. So you try to find a way to use them together. Each week will have those learning materials, the videos and the PowerPoints. It will also have assignments. So the first thing you'll see there is the reading assignment. So I want to talk a little bit about the books. We have 2 required books for this class. The first is this right here. This is Introducing the Old Testament by Tremper Longman III. And this is a scholarly synthesis, an introduction to each book in the Old Testament. It'll discuss issues like authorship and date, major themes, critical and scholarly issues. And the reason I chose this book is because it's incredibly short. This is like 180 pages versus most Old Testament intros are 500 pages or more. This is very much a bare bones, what you absolutely need to know. And so I do expect that you read it. It's fair game for tests and quizzes. So make sure you get this. It's not expensive because it's such a short little paperback book. The other book that you will need is, lo and behold, a Bible. You do not have to use this particular one. You're free to use any Bible you want. You can even use online Bibles. Those are available for free, places like BibleGateway.com. You can get Bible apps on a phone. As long as you have access to some sort of a Bible, you will be fine. But the Bible is going to be the most important part of our reading. So each week's reading assignment is given. It's both in the syllabus and it's also in the module. If you click on that, it'll tell you what you need to read. But it'll always consist of selections of readings from the Old Testament and also readings from Longman. So You do both of those, but the more important, the Bible is the most important part. We're going to read more of that. And it's most of your test and quiz questions will be based on the Bible, and we'll presume that you have read it. So make sure you do that each week. The other things you'll see in the assignments, you'll see any tests or quizzes. Each week we'll have a quiz. This week, actually, the first week actually has two, but the first one is the pre-test, which does not affect your grade, except that you get credit for doing it, but it doesn't. If you miss every question, you still get full credit just for doing it. You'll take that again at the end of the course as a post-test. That's just for us to measure the effectiveness of the course and how much you learned. But each week you'll have a quiz that will be over the week's readings, lectures, and PowerPoint. So probably you're going to want to put that off to the end of each week until you've done all of those things, so you have learned everything and you can do well on the test or the quiz. You will also have for each week a discussion question. Again, the first week has two of them, but the first of them is just an introductory, getting to know each other sort of course. The other ones, each week, it will be some sort of a discussion question based on that week's topics. So these are things I've tried to pick out that I think are thought-provoking, where there could be multiple interpretations, and this is an opportunity for you to get creative. And really, the discussions are in a lot of ways the most important part of this course. Not that they're necessarily worth the most, but that they are to try to replicate a classroom experience. We're not all together, so we can't have discussion, but we can through an online forum. So for most of your assignments, they're due at the end of each week. So since this course starts on a Monday, that means that everything is due by the end of Sunday. So all your quizzes, any papers that are due, tests, those all need to be done by Sunday night. The discussion question is a little different, because in order for there to be discussion, we have to have time for that, right? If everyone posts their response to my questions Sunday night, there's no time for discussion. No one can respond to your reading, because we're going to move on to the next week. So for the discussions, there are two parts. The first part, your initial post, your response to my initial question, is due by the end of Thursday of that week. So then your initial post is longer, right? It should be I said about 250 words. I'm not going to count the words, but it should be a substantial response. These are deep, thought-provoking questions, really. This is supposed to be. So those are due Thursday night. The second thing is a reply or replies. You should, by the end of Sunday, respond to two other people's posts. And the responses can be shorter. Those are about 100 words. They should still be substantial. They shouldn't just be I agree or I disagree. They should explain your views, but they are responding. So those are due by the end of Sunday. And so you'll see that stuff in each week. There are also two papers for this class I want to mention briefly. The first one is due is in week 3, and it's titled The Divine Warrior Paper. All of the instructions for that and the topic are there. This is a short paper. It's not anything huge. It is a 3 to 5 page paper that's double spaced, 12-point font, and you're responding to the fact that God is sometimes portrayed in the Old Testament as being very violent, or as sanctioning violence, commanding violence even, for example, in the book of Joshua. So in this paper, you're going to choose one of two texts, either Exodus 1 through 15, which is the Exodus story and the plagues against Egypt, or Joshua 1 through 12, the story of the conquest. You're going to choose one of those two and use that as a starting point to discuss what we do with violent portrayals of God. Many people have an issue with the Old Testament for this reason, that God seems to be angry and wrathful and violent in this book. So this paper is for you to respond to that issue, and it's not a research paper. You don't need to do research beyond what is assigned already in the course, but it is an opportunity for you to think more deeply on this issue. The second paper is in week 6, and it is the contemporary art paper. For this paper, you are going to choose some sort of contemporary work of art. It can be a song, it can be a movie, it could be visual art as well. But this week, that week, we're talking about or learning about the Psalms and the wisdom literatures. It's art, but it's addressing real life issues like what is good in life, how do you live a good life, how do you achieve happiness. And these are the sorts of things that art today still speaks to. And so the purpose of this paper is to get you to think about how we are still asking these same questions and how we're still coming up with answers that are sometimes very similar to what we find in the Bible. So you'll choose a work of art, a song or a movie or something else, and it does not need to be Christian. In fact, I would prefer that it not be explicitly Christian. Because what I want you to see is that the songs that you listen to every day have something in common with the Bible. So you choose a song or a movie or a work of art that in some way addresses an issue that we see in the Old Testament. It could be anything. It could be death, coping with death. It could be injustice. So the prophets in particular talk a lot about injustice. It could be about suffering. It could be about joy. Really, pretty much anything you're going to find is in some way addressed in the Old Testament. And so, but this is to get you to bring that into a conversation with the Old Testament and to think about how the Bible is still relevant today and how we're still discussing some of these issues. Then you do have some tests in this course. Those will be all in the modules as well. And I think that's really about it as far as introductory stuff goes. If I think of anything else, I will maybe post another video or update you. There is an announcements forum on Moodle as well. That if I need to change things or if I have any special announcements, I will make there to keep you updated on any changes to the course. But I'm looking forward to it, and I hope it is a good experience for you.